Good afternoon. I'm Kyle Huey, and the topic for my final project is technology in education. Now, there are a lot of pros and cons that teachers have to using technology in education. Some of the cons are distracting students, power outages when the programs don't work. However, I feel that the pros completely outweigh the cons when it comes to implementing technology into the classroom. However, we need to understand that technology is not our curriculum. Technology is just a tool in order to help us get our curriculum and get our standards across to the students. There's a lot of benefits to technology. When it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic and most of us were forced into an online learning environment, this would not have been possible without the technology that we have access to. My district being one-to-one, where every student has some sort of device, whether that be a Chromebook or an iPad, it became vital in having that technology in order to continue our school year and getting the standards across to the students that we needed to cover throughout our closures. With that being said, I also feel that going online or going virtual is going to be a benefit to our students in the future as well as it is today. When it comes to the workforce, our goal is to make sure that our students are prepared to enter the workforce after graduation. And a majority of employers are wanting tech-ready employees whenever they hire them. A lot of their training is going to be virtual. A lot of their communication is going to be through Google Meets or Zoom calls. And with our students already having prior knowledge of this and how to use this technology, they are already at having an advantage in the workforce. Now, other pros for the technology in the classroom is a flipped classroom. This is something that I implemented into my classroom after the COVID-19 pandemic. If you're not aware what a flipped classroom is, it's where I can create videos or give my students material to cover outside of the class time. When they come into class time, that is spent for more project-based learning or student-centered learning environment. This makes me more of a facilitator of the lesson in the classroom, and students are in charge of collaborating in order to get whatever task I have for them completed. This has been proven to be more of an engaging type of learning environment for students where they're working harder and more diligently in order to complete tasks. You get more out of your students. And this type of flipped classroom would not be possible without the technology that I have access to within my district. One of the things that I use in order to get my lessons out is Google Classroom. Each of my classes has their own individual classroom, so I can differentiate between what classes I want information to go to. The students has access to the material in Google Classroom through the classwork page. As you see, I have all my lessons submitted out with dates and the weeks that they are to be done. So that way, if a student is missing a day, you can go on to Google Classroom and be able to access the homework for that day and be able to not be left behind and keep up in the class. So that is a pro to the technology. Other pros to technology is just getting individuals more engaged in lessons. One of the things that I like to do in my classroom is have virtual tours. Being a history teacher, you can have virtual tours over historical places and even historical events where kids can learn firsthand, go to a place such as the Battle of Gettysburg, see the different monuments, the different artifacts that are there, and be able to have that visual experience that they would not get if we did not have access to Chromebooks or to the iPads. So again, that is another pro onto why having technology in the classroom is very beneficial. Some of the individuals that do not use technology in the classroom or choose not to, and their biggest complaint is that they are not properly trained. And I think this is a major issue that falls onto a lot of districts. A lot of school districts want teachers to implement technology into their classroom, into their lessons. However, they do not give them the proper training to do so. They just kind of throw it in their lap and say, here you go. It gets left behind. A lot of teachers get frustrated with it. They're not getting the full potential, so they just give up on this. So I believe it's up to the school district in order to provide full training on the technology that they want their teachers to use and utilize in the classroom. If they don't, it's just going to be a waste of time for everyone. They need to continue to provide training throughout the course of the year and not just give a one-day training scenario where you learn the basics and that's about it. Okay. The other great thing to use technology for is assessments. The biggest thing when it comes to creating assessment capable learners, which here at our district, that's what we're focusing on, is to give instant feedback to students on what they're doing well and what they need to fix. So in order to do that, we use a couple different tabs. In my classroom, we have this clever platform. I enjoy using Edpuzzle and Kahoot. Both of these can be used as assessment tools in order to make sure your students are grasping the information that they need to. Edpuzzle is a great tool. It shows videos, so it gets the visual effects that students like to see while asking questions in the middle of videos. You can take this for a grade, or you can just look at the data and determine where you are with your students and what you need to remediate and what you can move on with. Kahoot is another great tool. I use this to review for quizzes or review for tests. It's also a great thing to use if you have a little extra time in class. Kids love Kahoot because at all age levels you need to grasp that gaming aspect in order to entertain them, because that's what a lot of students are in. So it doesn't matter if you're teaching kindergarten, first grade, second grade, or if you're teaching high school level. Kids love games these days. They love the technology, and Kahoot really brings that out of them. Now, our most beneficial tool that we use in our district is Mastery Connect. Now, what Mastery Connect is a platform where we put our curriculum and our standards for the state in there, and we can align those with assessments, test questions, quizzes, anything like that. And what it gives us the data on the students, where they're at for each standard. So as you see on this screen, I have my students' names that are blurred out here on the left, and you have your standards across the top. And then in each column, it tells you if a student is in remediation, the yellow is nearing mastery, and the green is in mastery. Our goal in using this technology in the classroom is to get every one of our students in the mastery level for each of the standards. Now, this page right here just shows our most recent data. Okay, if I were to go to my curriculum map, I'm sorry, not my curriculum map. If I were to go to my reports, I have custom reports over a specific assessment. This is our assessment over the 50 states. And we as teachers can sit here and see where we started. This is my pre-assessment. I have 28% mastery, 11% nearing mastery, and 61% in remediation. After my first formative assessment, I bumped up to 49% mastery, 22% nearing mastery, and 29% at remediation. So I can see the change in my classes on where we are at for each individual standard. I can create a custom report for every test, every standard, whatever I need to do. Down at the bottom, you can see what standards we're covering, what date we had this test created, with other information if I were to get into more details. But this type of technology would not be possible without having computer access to create assessments or have students take assessments on a Chromebook. This is one benefit that I think is you cannot replace it, because I can see which students I need to focus on with what standards were good, and we can go at either a deeper DOK on, or what standards I need to remediate and completely review because we just did not get it. We also use this information during our PLC meetings, where each teacher in my department, we bring this data. We can look at each other's data. We can see whose classes did really well on specific standards, and we can talk about whose classes did not do so well. So we can kind of change our teaching style, maybe do a different activity that someone else did. So this information right here is priceless when it comes to being able to review data that is relative and recent for each individual student in each individual class. And ultimately, this stuff would not be possible without technology in the classroom, without our students being one-to-one, and without me having access to this program. This is our first year using this program, and I believe in the future we are going to 100% love the fact that we can just pull any type of data we want to, and it's going to be beneficial to making sure that we are on track and we are staying aligned to our state standards. In closing remarks, technology is difficult at times, and without proper training and proper education on the technology that we're using in the classroom, it can become useless and we won't get our full potential, which can cause teachers to be frustrated. So, as long as our district is providing proper technology for our teachers, I believe that technology is without a doubt a plus in educational system.